This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below. Alright, I hadn't done a video in a while, so figured I'd do a review on this oldie but goodie. Gonna do a review. Let me turn my air conditioner off. Yes, I know it's March 1st, but it's still Florida and it is hot. I'm gonna do a review on this radio here. I can't do a full review because, one, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Two, I don't have all the antennas for all the bands that this is capable of, but I'm going to do my best. This is a Yaesu FT736R, and this radio is about as old as I am. It's built back in the 80s. It's a vintage radio. But what the cool thing is about this radio is the capabilities. This radio was ahead of its time. I mean, you still got the old look, you know, you got your push buttons. There is a menu, but it's a menu that doesn't really matter. Like your tone boards are a menu, things of that nature, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. This radio here came stock with 2 meters and 432 or 440, whatever you want to call it. Us weak signal guys, we call it 432. That was a stock radio, but you had options. You could buy options, and you could buy options for 6 meters, 220, and 1.2 gig. I'm gonna put it back in VFO mode here and switch the bands around. You got 2 I was just on. Now we're on 432, 1.2 gig, and 6 meters. That's what this radio is capable of. Put it back in memory mode. Those are the 4 bands, and you can only have 4, but that's all you really need. Something like this. 25 watts out on all bands except 1.2 gig, and on 1.2 gig it does 10 watts. Just show you a repeater operation here. This has a tone board, and it's really overkill for a repeater radio, but this is a radio that I talk on. And I've been told that I have a power supply hum. I need to ground my station. I get that. But just to let you hear the quality of it. K4 CSA testing. Somebody may come back, they may not, I don't know. There's usually some activity on this repeater at night, but yes, everybody went to bed early. Alright, that's obviously it's one of the things you can do. Another thing that you can do with this radio is you can do satellites. If you look over here, got your preamp, got your meters, satellite, all that stuff. What this radio is meant for is for sideband, and this is a multi-mode radio. If you look here, see your different modes. Just like your HF rig has, upper sideband, lower sideband, CW. Of course, you can do FM narrow and FM wide. I don't really know if they did a lot of FM narrow back when this radio was built. That's why I say it was ahead of its time on that. Just one of the things you could do. We can flip down here to sideband. Doubt anybody's going to be on, but we'll see. Okay. Alright, now we're on the calling frequency for 2 meter sideband. And I'm gonna talk about this for a minute, okay? This radio has 4 antenna outputs on the back. I don't know if you can really see the antenna outputs. Okay, well, sorry about that, y'all. A little dark. I don't have a flashlight to get me back there, unfortunately. Yeah, I do. I didn't really plan to do this. I just sort of done it. But I want to show you this because this is important. Going to the back of the rig, you have antenna outputs for the 2, and the 6 is right below it. And then you have end connectors on this side. That's the top one's for the 432, and the end connector on the bottom is for the 1.2 gig. What's important about that, and what makes that so cool, is that you could run monoband antennas. I love monoband antennas. I feel that a dual band or tri-band or what have you antenna is a compromise. You're compromising gain. Well, when you're doing weak signal work, weak signal means the higher bands. Anything above 30 megahertz. 6 meters. 2, 222, 432, and on up into your microwave bands. You want as much gain as you can get to get to where you're going, because they're all line of sight. Well, if you got a dual band antenna, you're compromising something there to give it the dual band. And granted, yes, 440 is the third harmonic of 2 meters. That's all well and good. But I still like monoband antennas because you do get better gain out of them. That is the main selling point of this radio for me. That, and it's an excellent weak signal radio. And there ain't too many people that's going to deny that. If you look, JD N0IRS, he has a lot of videos, and one of the main centerpieces when he does his Grid Bandits videos is a 736. And it's because of the quality that was put into this radio that allows him to do a lot of the things he does. Just to give you an idea, on 2 meters, he has talked over 1,000 miles. On 2 meters, which is normally line of sight within, say, 50 miles, give or take. And he's talking radio to radio. This is my flagship. Now, something else you can do is satellites. I haven't done any satellites, but I don't have the antenna support. I'm actually going to put up some egg beaters at some point. But if you put it in satellite mode, notice, put it in satellite mode, RX, TX, does crossband. That was one of the selling points of this radio for satellite users. Very advanced for its day. You could pick one of these up used for anywhere from $500 to $1,500, depending on condition, what band, what mode. Well, doesn't matter what mode. It's a multi-mode, but what bands, what modules, what other options are going with it. They're still selling for probably what they sold for new in a used market 20 years later, 30 years later in some cases. But just a quick review. Next one I'm going to do is probably going to be my Kenwood TS870, which is another discontinued one, but it is a classic. It is a beautiful radio. 73 K4 CSA, Jacksonville, Florida.